Welcome to Bitter Reality Brewing. Tonight, we're looking to do a Bavarian wheat called a Hefeweizen, called a Weiss beer. Don't forget, like, subscribe, keep sharing. If you like beer, kill that subscribe button, hit the like. Definitely appreciate it. Late in 2019, I took advantage of a lot of Christmas deals, and yes, 2019. And believe it or not, I had never brewed an extract. I'd only ever done all grain. So I figured in 2020, I'd do a few extracts and just see what it was about and try it out. Well, one problem with them over all grains is the expiration seems to come a little faster than you realize, and I didn't do as many extracts last year as I had planned. So tonight, we're gonna knock out a Bavarian wheat, as they call it, from Mangrove Jacks. It's got the M20 wheat yeast, whatever you want to call it. It's inside, it's dry. Same, if you hear Hefeweizen, Weiss beer, it's all the same. And this is the one I got from Trader Joe's, looking to do a fermentation with carrots. That's why I grabbed it, to actually ferment carrots in it. A few of the ones we've got coming up, just to kind of give you a little heads up real quick before we jump into this one, is I got apple cider, peach and mango. I'm just gonna set them out of the way. We got an IPA recipe number 11, or actually it's pale ale, sorry, for Mangrove Jacks. And then the wrong ones, and the ones I'm looking forward to doing and wanted to do before this one until I realized the date on this one is actually 2 months expired, so I'm gonna knock that one out right away. Divine Deliverance from Brew Belgian IPA. That one I'm really looking forward to. I'm very excited. And this was the first of the subscription I mentioned, and I'll put the coupon down below where you get 10% off, put in a little code if you decide to buy a Brew extract. But the big key is that if you decide to subscribe, you get, I want to say it's still 20% off, I have to double check. And you get one, I want to say it's about every 90 days or something like that. You have to double check, I could be a little off, and maybe I'll put a little correction down there if I screw up. So we've got the Flemish, which my son's looking forward to, and then I got a triple coming. So we've got to get those taken care of here very soon. I'm not sure what's going on with these guys. I got crazy deals on these. I got a IPA bitter from Muntons and a export stout. They have really, really long expiration dates. So I don't know. I haven't tried those two, so I can't say good, bad, indifferent, but I'll get around to trying it. Okay, the one big thing with this guy is they recommend and warning if you buy one of these and you just want to read the instructions and you go to cut it open. Once you cut it open, it's a double pouch. One side's the instructions and the other side, in the yeast. And the other side, it's the liquid malt extract. So don't cut it open until you're ready to brew with it, or, well, congratulations, you're brewing. They recommend 2.2 pounds of corn sugar, or I believe it's 1 kilogram, something like that, but it's 2.2 pounds, or 2.6 pounds of a dry malt extract, which I'm going to use Bavarian wheat because I figure I'll go with this. The other catch is this is for 6 gallons. Well, as you know me, I'm kegging, so that's 5 gallons. So what I was going to do is, this thing says it should run at about 4.7% ABV. And most of these extract kits usually are right on or a little low, with the exception of Brew which is usually through the roof. So you got to kind of watch things like that. But at 4.7% at 6 gallons, if I drop that down to 5 gallons, I'm going to be kicking up close to 5.6 if I remember right. So I did some math, put it into my Beersmith program, and figured out what I want to do is I'm going to put a pound of the dry malt Bavarian wheat and a pound of corn sugar. So I'm kind of dropping things down a little bit, not by much, but that should put me right at 5%, which is what I'm looking for. Another little trick when you're doing stuff with dry malt extract is we're gonna have to top this off to a total of 5 gallons. So I use the brew bucket because these things are usually rated for about 180 Fahrenheit. Don't pour this into a glass carboy, and it says, you know, dump it right into your fermentor. Yeah, that's a loose term. I mean, it could be thin plastic, it could be just about anything. You want to put it in a brew bucket and then dump it into a fermenter once the temperature's down, which it'll go down as you're adding cold water. So what I'm gonna do is, if I try to put this in hot water, it's gonna clump. And it's gonna clump really bad. So a little trick is take cold water, that's plenty, probably put too much, but that's okay. We can always heat some more water up. And I'm gonna just dump that in. Same thing with the corn sugar. I've got a little paper plate over here with a spoon and a razor blade that's been soaking in star sand. So we should be good, although you know what, I didn't clean this bag. And because I don't want to get star sand on the corn sugar and get it all clumped up, we're gonna wipe it off. And we're gonna dump that on in there too. It won't mix very well in the cold water. As you see the steam in front of me, yeah, I got the hot water coming. And I got that thing sitting at about 100, it was about 180 to 175. It's probably coming down closer to about the high 160s right now, I'm guessing. So I'm gonna take this, bring it down a little bit. One great thing I love about my bar is its granite countertops. So I can put crazy hot things on it and not have to worry about it burning. It's just one little benefit. And this is still clumping a little bit, but that's okay, not as bad as it's hot. And I'm gonna speed things up a little on the camera whenever I do something that's gonna take a bit. So we're gonna take some of this hot water. Go ahead and pour some in there. As you're probably seeing, there it is. I got a 5-gallon mark. So I'm gonna know exactly when I'm at 5 gallons. Give me a moment, we got a little trick. I'm gonna grab the hand blender, but I just got this. We're gonna know it's already breaking down, so I'm good. Other big bonus is I'm aerating it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this open. I have sprayed this so many times with star sand, I'm all good. But I set the razor blade down on the counter. Like I said, once you cut this open, you're opening 2 bags at once. So you have to be aware of that. It smells really good. It smells really good. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can't show you this. Let's get this stuff out. There's our M20 Bavarian wheat yeast from Mangrove Jacks and our instruction pamphlet, which you can go online and look for that, so that way you don't have to read it the minute you open it. You can know a little bit ahead of time. And so make sure to pour it out. You can see pure gold. All lovely wheat extract, pre-hopped. The hops, because it is pre-hopped, and I'm going to be adding it. There we go, look at that. It's gonna kick the IBU up a little bit, but you're talking like 4 or 5 points, we're gonna be fine. We're not gonna be drinking any real bitter wheat beers or Weiss beers or Hefeweizens or anything else you want to call it. There we go. There's the money. Beautiful golden caramel. And I'm assuming this Weiss beer is probably gonna come out a little darker than most Weiss beer, just because if you've done all grain, you've done dry extracts, and you've done liquid extracts, you're probably familiar. Liquid extracts are always a little darker due to the caramelization that I'm told during the creation of them. They just get a little more of that lovely caramel color. We're gonna lift this up and we're gonna put some hot water in there. Otherwise, we'll never get it out. Let's do it the safe way, or safer. There we go. Okay, that should be the last. Still a little bit in there. Kills me to let any of it go, but getting kind of sticky, getting kind of nasty, and I'm getting it all over my hands. There we go. That's out of our way. Let's go ahead. Stir that up, it's very thick. Let's dump the last of the hot water in there too. That'll help break those liquid extracts down. And if I didn't have enough problems, let's clean the mess up a little bit. There we go. And all you're gonna do is you're gonna stir it. Right now I'm at 2 gallons or close to 2 gallons. And I've only put about 1 gallon and a little less than a half, so I'm just a hair under 2 gallons. And then you start dumping your water in. Be a little careful compared to the way I did it. All I'm doing is I'm adding spring water, nothing special, other than splashing it, which is never good. Okay, question that I know will probably arise and somebody might ask, why would I add corn sugar or malt extract? If you're adding corn sugar, it's gonna thin the wheat beer down a little bit, but it's gonna help push that ABV up and get it to where it's supposed to be, because it is a condensed extract. It's very concentrated, and that corn sugar is gonna kind of thin it out a little bit. And like I said, it's also gonna dry it out, which means it's going to allow the yeast to eat it, because it's a little bit more of the simple sugars and there's more fermentable, we'll just say, just 100% eatable. And the yeast is gonna devour it. If I put just malt extract, my final gravity is not gonna be quite as low. I'm still gonna get close to the same ABV, maybe not as much, of course, but it's gonna give the body, it's gonna give it more body, because in that dry malt extract, there are some non-fermentable sugars in there that the yeast is not gonna be able to readily eat. So you're gonna get more of a body, you're gonna get a little bit more flavor, especially since I added wheat to a wheat beer. Wheat's gonna stand out a little bit more, a little more mouthfeel, should we say, and that's what I mean by body. I wanted to thin it out a little, but not a lot, knowing that I'm going to bring it down from 6 to 5 gallons and keeping with almost the same recipe. So that's why I went 50-50. I want a nice body to it, but it's a wheat beer. It should be easy drinking. It shouldn't be real heavy. According to this, they're looking for kind of almost a medium. So yeah, I kind of went 50-50, and I went a little lower than what it asked for because I was bringing it down. I want to keep my ABV as close to 5% as humanly possible. Good thing too is if you live in a cold area, I'm in Florida, my garage is colder than the house, but nothing compared to many states and many countries right now in the wintertime. But this is colder, which means it's gonna bring the temperature down, which is a good thing. And maybe I'll stop eating caramelized wheat. And pour slow so you don't do the giant splashes like I was doing. And all we're doing now, I'll speed it up a little bit, is we're just gonna go to 5 gallons. Once we go to 5 gallons, we'll give it a little bit more of a stir, and then we'll put it in the carboy to ferment. We'll drop the yeast in, put a bubbler on it, put it in the fermenter around 68 Fahrenheit, and let it go. She's probably gonna be closer to 67, 66 initially, and I'll let it rise. Okay, we're sitting at 5 gallons, maybe a hair plus or minus, but we're at 5 gallons. I'm gonna dump it into the carboy, pitch the yeast. But I just noticed this Mangrove Jack's Bavarian wheat yeast, I have some, or I've had some, I don't know if I still do, but it says suitable for Hefeweizen, Dunkelweizen, which I love, and more. But one of the second beer it lists is a Crystal Weizen with a K. You know what that is? Put it in the comment section, because as soon as I'm done here, I'm gonna look that up. I've never heard of a Crystal Weizen. Weizen meaning a wheat beer from everything I understand, but Crystal or Cristal with a K? I just learned something new, or at least I found something I want to go look up and research. But yeah. So let's get this dumped in there. It's already pretty aerated, but me dumping it in there, it's gonna be super aerated. Pitch this yeast, drop a tilt hydrometer in there. Yeah, I'm gonna say that's gonna be incredibly aerated. We won't have a problem with aeration. And if you're new to brewing and you're seeing this, you want to aerate it because your yeast needs oxygen when it first starts to eat away at the sugars. And as it's dying off, it will release CO2 and eat up that oxygen. So once you seal it up and it starts fermenting, you don't want to ever have oxygen exposure to it again until it's going down your throat and you're drinking it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just pitch the yeast on in there. Only sprinkle it over the top, put in a little bit of water, let it sit at around 70 degrees for a couple minutes before you dump it in. But I want to make sure this gets rinsed down in case I have to rinse it off from the sides. Okay, as you can see, it's 1.00 gravity in distilled water, 69 Fahrenheit, that's probably correct. So I'm gonna say it's calibrated, and this one's been dead on the money since day one, so not gonna worry about it. You can go ahead and we can take it out of here. And let's turn this off for a second. Okay, we're fine. Okay, it's still settling, but it says it's 1.048 for our original gravity. And I'll tell you what the approximate ABV should be. That's it. I took another reading. I showed you it went up a little bit. Once the bubbles settle, everything settles, I'll get another reading. Yeah, it's still sitting at 1.049 right now. But that would put us closer to 5.1 to 5.2% ABV, assuming it gets down to a final gravity of 1.010. If you're new to extracts, you're new to brewing, don't worry about the final gravity, don't worry about the original gravity. Just try to get the basics down, and you can start worrying about that later and get yourself a hydrometer, you know, Brewing America. If you're gonna be putting the big old carboys like this, definitely grab yourself a tilt eventually. They are amazing. It's a nice way to walk up with your phone and see if it's done without actually going, is it done? Is it done? And I know everybody's like that when they first get their first batch, but patience. I mean, it might tell you 7 days, let it go, a week and a half, 2 weeks. The bubbling is not a good sign. If it's jamming out, yeah, that's a good sign. But if it's occasional bubble, it may be done, it may not be. But you know, you learn with time, take your time and be patient. Don't get rushed by, oh, it says in 10 days it'll be ready. Yeah, no, just take your time. So we're gonna toss this into the fermenter, let it get going. Once it's done, then we'll do a taste test and I'll let you know how it came out, and we'll always do grain to glass or extract to glass. And if we have a problem, I'll let you know, sadly, because we did have one a while back, but hopefully we keep that one in the past. Thank you again for joining us here at Bitter Reality Brewing. Don't forget, like, subscribe, keep sharing, definitely appreciate it. Thank you very much.